This is where we hold them! This is where we fight!
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.
Rob, what's good, homie?
Mike, tonight's the first night in a while of Sweep the Rack where I actually can talk a little bit about my bowling and me coming back. Jimmy, what's good, man? So yeah, I know we always talk about your league review and how things are going with you, but Mike, I think I'm back. I'm back, man.
Play that Rocky music, son. Let's go.
Dude, I missed the smell of a bowling alley. I missed the smell of a bowling alley, and I realized that when I walked into the bowling center last night. But okay, so Saturday, and I'm not going to go too long, but Saturday, I went to.
Sir, go as long as you want.
I appreciate you, Mike. Saturday, I scheduled a time to go see B3 Performance in Tempe, Arizona. If anybody doesn't know about B3 Performance, picture a corporate park in Tempe and a corporate like office turned into a training facility, 4 lanes, a pro shop, a classroom for like training, TV, seats, almost looks exactly like a classroom would. The bowling center, the 4 lanes are all string pin, Mike. Okay. And they have the newest Kegel machine there. The sun will go down in a little bit, so don't worry about it. That's how you know it's getting lighter out later, right? Because of this show, and we start every week at the same time. Anyway, so they had 41-foot bear, but before that, I got refitted. So my hand changed. I haven't been refitted in over probably 10 years. Mike Calderon, who used to be an EBI tour rep, who is going to come on to the show. We're going to do an interview with him. He's got a lot of cool experiences. He fit my hand, and he realized that my middle finger pitch was completely off, and it was preventing me from coming up the back of the ball, which I've been having problems. Long story short, he refit me. I got on the lanes for an hour. I bowled on bear on the string pins. Mike, I've said on this show prior how I thought string pins would make scores higher. Let me tell you something. The string pins are completely and utterly impossible to strike on. Like, dude, if you didn't throw the ball really clean off your hand, Mike, you literally would flat 10, flat 6, flat 4 pin. They were hard. On top of that, being 41 feet and kind of flat, made for a really interesting practice session when you haven't thrown a ball in 3.5 months. So anyway, I practiced a little bit. I got the juices flowing. Felt good for a little bit. Last 10 minutes, do some strikes. Started to feel really good. That was my experience there. If anybody's in the West Coast area, B3 Performance they have a CAT machine. They have all the new technology, everything you could ask for in a training facility. Dude, the pin action was impossible. It was literally, you had to really come out of the bowl super clean, and you had to strike. So here's an interesting tidbit. Wesley Lowe and Cortez Shank actually work at B3 Performance. So they're there every day. Wesley Lowe practices there on the string pins every day, right? Puts out anything he wants, right? He works there. When he bowls on tour, his pin action is 1,000 times better. So it's like, I like compared it to like a baseball hitter swinging in a pool, and your bat speed is really hard. But when you swing it without swinging it underwater, your bat speed is all of a sudden really fast. Dude, it's the same thing as practicing on string pins. the cool thing about it is every lane he has different ounce pins he put set up on each lane. He wanted to test how the heavier pins would react on string pins. And it's a really interesting. He did a lot of analysis and discussion, and he actually invited Chad Murphy out, who I don't think went, to test out actually what the pins and the string pins actually look like. Basically no messengers with string pins. The scores would drop dramatically on house shots if they use string pins. Trust me, just from bowling on it. You have to see it to believe it. It's hard. No messengers. Just hard. Flat tens. A lot of flat tens.
Is it legitimate?
Like legitimate, where you could bowl like a high level PBA tournament on it, and
like in your opinion, like are the string pins a legitimate way to play the game?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. From what I saw, the hour that I practiced, I really had to throw the ball good to strike. And if I threw it half fast, sometimes you don't throw the ball really good and it's half fast, and you might come around it a little bit. You might like air it a little bit. On a pattern on the string pins, dude, there was no way I was striking. It was flat 10. It was a flat 4, right? Coming in light. Like the pins weren't bouncing off the walls. And that was just on lane 1. Now, keep in mind, it could be different on different bowling centers, whatnot. But he was telling me how much lower maintenance and how many breakdowns he has on those string pins on a daily basis. He said that my breakdown I had, that the strings got tangled, was the first time that's happened in a week on 4 lanes, and they bowl every day there.
And so, how quick of a fix is that?
It was 5 minutes. Brandy, his wife, if you don't remember Brandy Wolf, his Brett Wolf's sister, is married to Mike. Brandy fixed it herself, and literally I waited probably 5 minutes for her to untangle it.
Okay. This is a good question. Let's answer this question from Robert Hamilton. Robert, thanks for the email too, bro. How do you think the PBA would feel if they ever decided to go to a center that has string pins? And would the players go, or would they decline that stop? I mean, not to say that they necessarily have a choice, but I guess a better way to phrase that question would be, do you think we'd see a lot of complaining from the players?
No, I think it's really, once you have to really try it to understand what I'm talking about. Because you think of string pins, you think of carnival type shit. Really, the way the pins reacted and moved, you really had to be really clean off your hand. Mike, the scores would drop dramatically, in my opinion. And, on a house shot, it could be different because the house shot, your ball is hitting harder on a house shot, right? Sure. I was bowling on a 41-foot flat where my ball was burning up quicker. So I also could have had not the greatest reaction, okay? Because I was only using one ball, and it was a ball from 7 years ago that I just drilled. So essentially, I didn't have the greatest reaction. Now, I would like to bowl on that with maybe a fresh new cover with a fresh house shot, and then I could kind of give a better example on how it would look on a league or house shot. But as for a pattern, they were really hard. It's definitely interesting to do it. And Mike, I really urge you, if you ever find a place that does it, to try it and see for yourself. But I really think that, I'm not saying that's the future of the sport, because I don't think that's where it should go. But I think more bowling centers are going to look into doing string pin because of the lower maintenance and the less breakdowns that they have. And this is coming from Mike. And when we have Calderon on the show, which I'll schedule sometime soon, we could talk to him more about that aspect of it. He's got so many interesting points and facts that was definitely cool.
Anthony's saying that Nebraska has string pins in their center, and obviously they're really successful. Jason commenting, my town just opened a new center with string pins, and striking was way easier. It took nothing to knock them over. All right, so that's an interesting contrast.
So, yeah, it could go both ways, honestly, because I was bowling on a hard shot, okay, and my ball was burning up a little bit too. It wasn't the greatest reaction. I knew that, whatever. I was bowling more for fit and to keep my feet under me. So real quick before we get
but what you're really saying here to be clear, because you slipped this in, and I wanna clarify. What you're really saying here is that you went to the training center to get a new fit, but drilled a ball that's 7 years old.
Yes. Yeah, because I had the blanks in my closet. I wasn't using them.
But it's 7 years old. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Ebonite choice, the original choice.
that's not even a ball that anyone would deem something that needs to be around 7 years later. Now, if you would have said like a game breaker, perhaps, all right, I'm not going to hate on you for that, or maybe like a Venom Shock. Talk about that a little bit later. That I wouldn't hate on you for, but yeah, I don't know, man. I maybe
Dude,
you should have just sprung for a new rock.
No, because I have blanks, but I was getting refitted. So why am I going to buy a brand new ball or get a brand new ball that's updated, modernized when I don't even know if I'm going to like the fit? And then what? I got to replug it.
Well, because I'd be confident I'm going to like the fit.
No, I wanted to test it out. It was a ball for me to test, but it's also a practice ball for me too. So when I go to the bowling center, like keep in mind, last night I decided I was going to go to Bolero here in Scottsdale after work. I tweeted this. $575 a game, okay? Not the greatest. Dude, the bowling center looked like it hasn't put $1 into it in years. But the house shot, Mike, so easy. That same Ebonite choice you talked about that I bowled, I was keeping score 725 with an Ebonite choice on a house shot. Dude, Mike, I was all over the place. I couldn't keep my feet under me, my hands around it, my elbows here, all kinds of crap. Didn't matter what I did. I missed right, I struck. I missed left, I struck. But
they're easy these days.
Yeah. So I signed up for a tournament in 2 weeks here. It's a sport tournament. I'm not sure. It's a complete bowling event. All the big Arizona scorers, shot people will be there. But there's a tournament that they're taking signups already in September. Okay. That they're already taking signups that are probably going to fill up pretty quick. That I sent my entry in. First place, $10,000, $275 entry. It's like a big tournament where they take the top big match play, 2-day tournament. It's actually, I believe it's probably going to be opening weekend of the NFL because it's like September 11th weekend. So I'll miss opening day of NFL if I'm going to be bowling for $10,000. You know what I mean? I decided I'm probably going to be drilling up a Wolverine. I think it's a Global 900. I'm going to drill up a Reality.
All staff.
Yes,
all staff.
I'm going to drill up a probably the new Storm Ball, the Nova. And I probably will drill up a pink urethane. I still have my OG purple hammer that I probably will use, but yeah, I might drill up something else too. So we'll see. But yeah, Mike, love to be back. Smelling the bowling center was amazing. Walking in, just being there, thinking about probably joining the league here in the next probably summer or spring or whatever, and kind of go from there. So that's enough. I know I've been talking a lot. We want to hear about your league review.
Oh man, you gave me so much. Like, here's where I'd like to start after your your piece.
I already have a Zen. I already have one. I already have a phase 2.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mike.
I'd like to talk about Bolero centers.
Okay.
Because my beef with the Bolero centers that I bowl in isn't so much the remodeling of the center. In fact, any Bolero center I go into around here has been remodeled to the 10th degree. I mean, the center I bowl league in, like, it used to be a very awkwardly designed center with the bar sectioned off from everything else, and it wasn't very. And they just opened it all up and put TVs in and redid everything, and it looks great. My issue is that there's really no level of care for the center, right? Like,
That's what I'm in.
Yeah, there's really no level of care. Like, I went in, I think 2 weeks ago or maybe this week, and it literally looked like there was brine on the floor, from like salt on the outside and whatnot. And I just thought, like, how hard is it before you have league bowlers coming in for the night to just, make sure that the floors are cleaned up real quick. And
Mike, let me tell you real quick.
The service there seems lacking to me lately. Like, I'll be honest, like, I get a soda when I go in the bowl, and it's free refills, right? And the cup is rather small. They only have one size drink at the place I bowl, and the cup is rather small. So I go off for a few refills throughout the night. Rob, I don't even wait for the person behind the snack bar to come and give me a refill. I just reach around and wheeze the juice and just get my own refill, because like that's
Dude.
how it is at these centers, and the price is a premium, and it's really tough to get a lane at a decent time or situation to practice. Robert in the chat is mentioning how the Bolero Center around him doesn't open until 4. A lot of them are the same way around here. As soon as they open, they start Cosmic. So it's just tough. It really is.
Here's the thing: is I was bowling right about an hour before the league was coming on, so they have a big Tuesday night league. There was no handles on the faucet in the bathroom. The paper towels were out of the dispenser. The bowling balls were my brand new ball that I just drilled was literally looked like it. Now it has 40 games on it. It came back dirty as hell. But hey, to their, at least I got the ball on some fresh oil. I was scared that I was going to go there and I was going to bowl on some like 3-day-old like birthday party bullshit. And at least they had some carry down, but that facility is an older place. The lane surface is not great. It's hard to strike when there's patterns out.
Is it worse? Somebody in the chat commenting can't be worse than Maple Lanes, Rob.
Dude, Gil Hodges Lanes was worse than Maple Lanes, but they look. You'll never be able to talk about how bad bowling centers are until you grew up bowling in Brooklyn. You could fit quarters between the boards on the heads. They wouldn't strip for like a week or two. I mean, this is the shit that we grew up bowling on.
Yeah, but don't you think that now with the advent of synthetic lanes and the installation of synthetic lanes in the vast majority of places, and the technological advancements in the oiling machines and the advancement of the knowledge of these things and the importance of these things, don't you think that they should still be doing a better job, even given the history of some of these places?
Dude, of course. And that's the thing is I went from B3 Performance and this like top-notch facility to going to Bolero and practicing. So it's just like as a competitive bowler, I paid $17.50, Mike, for 3 games when I could pay a little bit more and bowl there for an hour on a pattern and have a top-notch facility with no kids, nothing. You're there by yourself, technically bowling for an hour. Mike, that's your dream, to be able to go there and be able to put a pattern out, bowl with nobody bothering you, you know, and just be able to put your headphones in or whatever and practice, like, you know, and not strike every shot. So that's how you practice, is by not striking.
Yeah.
When I go to this bowl,
I've been going to Hal Lanes lately on Saturday mornings. They open at 9 o'clock. I'm there at 8:55. I go in. They have 2 pairs, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Both, one has a short pattern, one has a long pattern. It's not that expensive. I'm not I told them I'm not a league bowler there. I'm not a regular there. It's maybe $4 a game, $5 a game at the most. Okay. And there's usually me and one other person there. There's never been more than 2 people on the 2 pairs. And yeah, like you said, it's awesome. It's well worth it. Like the one week, I even bought the lady who works at the desk and the guy who does the lanes lunch. I left an extra 50 and said, here, get lunch on me, because I just appreciate them doing it, and I appreciate having the opportunity to go in and practice in an environment like that, and like not be bothered, and even something as simple as not having to tell them how many games I'm going to bowl before I bowl. Like if I decide I want to bowl an extra game, I don't have to walk back up. I just bowl another game.
Here's the funny thing is that Mike was telling me that they used to run every Saturday night. They used to run pot games in his facility. And you're going to love this. They used to run pot games, and they used to put out any pattern that people wanted to practice. They used to get pizza, bring it in. I was like, Mike, you got to bring that back now. Like the Calderon, that has to come back now that I'm bowling. But he had a funny story that he told me where some people were calling some other people out, like I guess in the areas of Arizona, there's different areas. Like the one area was calling out the other area, and Calderon was like, yo, I'll put out any pattern you want. You come here, you can bowl for as much as you want, whatever. and these people they didn't want any part of it.
Okay.
You know, because they're big talks until you tell them we're going to put out bear or some kind of pattern, right? And then nobody wants the bowl, right? So yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right though. They should be Bolero, right? For me to practice on Bolero to pay $17 to bowl 720 and not throw the ball good and strike, and it's terrible, right? Bowling on a pattern and string pins. And Dave Peacock, you asked, does string pins bother me? String pins would bother me if I was bowling in a tournament and I was trying to score, okay? Because it would bother me that the fact that I couldn't strike when I threw the ball half fast. For practice, it's the best because you know that if you struck, you threw the ball really well and the result matches, you know, your process. You're not, you know, a lot of people have these problems, and I'm sure everybody does, where you go and you bowl league and you put the score up, and not league, I'm sorry, you go practice at your house, right? And you put the score up and you bowl 3 games and you bowl 750, okay? And you leave there going, oh, well, I bowled 750. I must be throwing the ball really well, right? In reality, you're not, because the lanes are so easy. Physically, you think you're throwing it good because you're striking, but in reality, you're not, because it's the shot is making up for your bad shots. Okay.
Yeah, it's funny. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Rob. I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off.
so I'm going to say, like, this is something I know you'll agree with me on, because the fact where when you're practicing, you want to you want to feel the great shots, and you want to duplicate the great shots. But if you throw a bad shot and you strike to an average bowler, the 160, 170, 150 bowler, you struck, you think that was a good shot. But in reality, if it was on a sport pattern and you practice and you threw the same shot, you probably wouldn't strike.
150,
So
160, 170.
all I'm
220,
saying,
230, 240.
all I'm
What are you
saying,
talking
yeah, I
about,
know.
Hoss?
But all I'm saying is, like, practicing on a sport shot is so valuable to get better as a bowler compared to bowling
It's
on a house
invaluable.
shot.
It's invaluable.
An hour on a sport pattern is amazing on how good you will get really fast in comparing on
It's
bowling on a house
invaluable.
shot.
It
So
really
anyway,
is.
so that's
And
look
yeah,
like
shout to Hal Lanes. Shout to Hal Lanes, Billy Punch. I agree.
yeah.
Now you made me forget what I was. Oh, here's what I was going to say. I went to Hal Lanes to practice Saturday. Rob, there happens to be a guy, young guy, practicing next to me, and he comes down and he asked me about the patterns, and I said, "Well, I don't know what patterns they are. It's just short and long." So the guy doing the lanes walks by, and I'm like, "Hey, Mike, what patterns are these?" And he said, "Oh, it's wolf was the short and shark was the long." So I
Ooh,
told
shark.
I told
The OG 44 foot.
I told the kid, yeah, so this is shark, it's long, and he breaks out a double cross, radical double cross urethane ball to use.
Yeah.
And listen, this is just the way I am. Like I want to help people. I want to be informative. I want to have
Coach Mike.
conversations. I want to have conversations
You
with
want to be
people
coach.
about the bowling thing, right?
Right.
So so I see him with the urine, and I told him, I said, listen, man, I said, I don't know how experienced you are on this or whatever. I said, but this ball really isn't meant to be used on something like this that you're going to bowl on right now, the long anyway. I said, if you want to use that ball, you can go over to the short and you'll have a much better idea of how to use that ball or what the purpose of it is for. And he's like, oh, really? He's like, I just drilled this ball and I really want to use it. I said, well, listen, you do what you want. I said, I'm just telling you that, don't get frustrated because this ball probably isn't going to do much on this
Shark,
lane
forget it.
condition.
No
And
way.
he was a two-hander and he
Yeah.
goes up and he throws it 50 miles an hour down the
Yeah,
lane.
pick three off the left.
Picks three,
Oh,
picks three,
100%.
right? Okay. So like uh after a few shots he comes back and he's like, "Yeah, that ball's really not doing anything." And I
One
was like,
strike.
"Yeah, all right." I said, "What else do you have?" He said, "I have this and that." I forget what balls he had. So he started using another one, didn't hook. Then he saw me using an Aberlon pad. He's like, "Oh, can I use that?" I said, "Yeah, you can use it." So he sanded his ball down, then it starts to hook a little bit. I said, "Oh, there you go." So we're talking a little bit as we're bowling and practicing. Not much, just a little here and there. And he's 225, all right, league bowler in this house. And the one thing he said to me that I want to share with you guys here is he was like, "Yo, this is absolutely humbling." He's like, this is absolutely humbling. He's like, I actually have like a pretty big ego about my bowling. He's like, and I have to say, like, bowling on this just for a few games will absolutely destroy your ego. And I told him, I said, and my man, that's why bowling's in the position that it's in.
100%.
I said, because there's too many egos and there's not enough there's not enough people willing to take the challenge and admit that, perhaps this ego that I've built is not what I really think it is.
Do you
Right.
remember,
So
Mike?
I'm not going to get on my soapbox, people. All right.
So
I'm not going to
let
get
me.
on my soapbox. Yeah.
I gotta
Bob
talk here.
Miranda in chat. Greg Tack tournament Saturday. Yo, I'm hype. I'll be there. South Jersey. I'm going to Jug Handle for wings afterwards if anybody wants to join me. Best wing joint in New Jersey.
Mike.
Probably best wing joint in the East Coast, maybe. I'm
Mike,
going there after.
Do you remember?
Greg
do you remember
Tack
the first
Saturday? Go ahead, Rob.
Now, real quick, we're gonna go on a little bit of a tangent here. Do you remember the first tournament you bowled that really humbled you? That you left that bowling center where you were like, "Man, I'm not as good as I think I was."
Yeah, It
there's
was
2 tournaments. Listen, 2 tournaments I remember specifically: Stonehenge, Teen Masters, the year Bill led.
Ohio.
Remember that?
Yeah,
Ohio, where Bill was like 100 under for like 15 games, and he led the tournament.
Oh, what's
Levy,
good, son?
What up, man?
What's good? Yo, surprise appearance. Yo, I missed you at the Borgata a couple weekends ago. We should link up, son. What's good?
Teen Masters, right? And I think it was 97 or 98, right? Teen Masters. Dude, but really, you want to know really humbling experience? And I know Dunleavy will probably he'll agree with me. The early high rollers of the Castaways. Okay, this was the short before anybody knew what the short was. Okay, before purple urethanes and being able to play off the gutta cheetah.
When you got on a short and you moved left,
and hooked more.
Yeah, and then you moved left more.
And hook more.
Yeah, and then you lofted it more and threw it harder.
And then you really had to stand in the left gutter, throw it to the right gutter, and let the ball not read the first 40 feet of the lane.
Yeah,
and there was only a few people. And there was only a few people that could do it great. Like Brian Kretzer, Mike Machuga, Tim Mack. These were the guys that were running over the high roller because they could do that. Dude, do you want to talk humbling? Losing like $5,000 your first trip to the high roller obviously wasn't my money, but losing $5,000 your first trip when you think you're a 17-year-old phenom who's going to be the next Pete Weber, or and then you take a bath like that. Showboat, right? Castaway Showboat. You want to talk humbling? Anybody who bowled that tournament at that high roller left there humbled, Mike. And used to be in for a lot of money, too. To be honest
with you, I didn't. The first time I went to the high roller, I didn't do anything. I didn't bowl all that great. I think I might have cashed in one sweeper. I didn't really feel that intimidated or humbled. But at that time I had some real experience bowling on tougher stuff. So I was like, all right, I know what to expect here. I had some knowledge of
Mike,
what to do.
I did too, though. And you know what the funny thing was? And I remember this story like it was yesterday. When I bowled and I was bowling, I had all these balls drilled for like these, like high school tournaments, right? When I first went adults and you go out there, right? And you think you had all these ball junior tournaments and all these stupid layouts that were just basic shit. And then you have a tour rep lay you out a bowling ball.
Right.
And they put the pin under the middle finger and they put a hole in the side of it. And you look at this ball and you're going, the hell is this? The pin is below my middle finger. I have no idea. And then all of a sudden your ball gives you 5 boards more than normal. You're like, man, wow, the layout of the bowling ball and the bowling ball I'm using is so important. Exactly. Luigi took that $5,000.
Yeah. So
JD knows about any of that, all that.
And yeah, I didn't.
Team challenges were real humbling.
Unfortunately, didn't get the chance to bowl those. That was a little before my time. But no, in terms of the high roller, I remember being intimidated in the sense that there were guys who were bowling a squad just to see what they were like, and I was bowling the squad, and that was going to be maybe the only squad I got to bowl in that event because of money. I remember being intimidated in that way. I remember being intimidated by the fact that was the first time I had bowled in a tournament where guys were drilling balls just to throw in that tournament. And I didn't have the money to drill balls, and I didn't have the connection to get any free
to get a tour rep
balls,
ball. Me neither.
I remember being very, very like humbled and intimidated. Like, oh shit,
Mike.
like I'm kind of over my head here a little bit. But let
Well,
me
here's the
answer your question though, Rob, because I have a really interesting take on that question of like, what's the first time I was humbled? And growing up in Philly, we bowled on almost exclusively wood lanes.
Right.
And when I
Yep.
started to go out to Levittown, where Bill and Joe bowled, and when I started to go out to some JBTs out in Pennsylvania, like Suburban Bowlerama and some of the centers out in York, and I encountered uh, uh, synthetic lanes for the first time, my God, it was like, what is going on out here? Like, I was super humbled by that. Okay, so that was one time. Another
Dude, there
time
was a bunch of team challenges, man. We had
would be
brutal fucking.
the youth masters. Okay, definitely the youth masters. And yeah, other than those two, nothing really sticks out to me in terms of like being humbled. But um, those are that youth masters was something else. What comment do we have from your brother here? He says,
Rob, do you
Rob, do you
remember the
remember
world? Go
the
ahead.
World Team Challenge at Carolier when we bowled with Fagan, Rudish, and Lang, where we all were throwing seventh arrow plastic the last game?
Dude, I remember wanting to leave there and just never wanting to bowl ever again after that. Here's the thing, though. You talk about getting free balls during the tournament. Okay, Bill O'Neill when we traveled together during the high roller days. This kid was one of the best, college bowlers. Really, outstanding high school bowler, right? And he couldn't get a free bowling ball. Okay, this is how tight the tour reps were about giving free balls, and that's why I think we always talk about patch pirates and we always laugh about it because I think we're still in that old school mentality that it was impossible to get free balls back then. You really had to know somebody or be somebody to get a free ball back those days. But on the other hand, nowadays these juniors are on staff. They're getting free this, they're getting free that, they're getting all kinds of stuff because we're in that old school mentality where you had to earn your way to that free bowling ball. And I feel like that's the reason why maybe we're so against like the patch pirates and the people getting the free balls, right?
And Rob, tell me if I'm wrong, but Jimmy Callahan, who's now a Storm rep, was the guy who ran the shop at the main bowling center out there.
Yes.
And I remember that. And you're right about what you're saying, and it was really tough to get an in there. And I remember Andrew Kane drilling a plastic ball a certain way and coming out and
Clear
winning
wolf
a sweeper. Yeah, clear wolf.
Yeah, it was a clear wolf.
Like I remember certain things about that experience where I was like, oh wow, I'm in over my head a little bit here.
Oh, in over your head.
Yeah,
But
I showed up with my 6 bowling balls that I use at home, and guys are showing up with 2 bowling balls and drilling 4. And I only have a few grand here to bowl, and guys are bowling 6 squads in a day. And I'm not bowling 6 squads across all 3 events that I'm here for. So, yeah, in that sense, yes, I agree.
Dude, I remember, we're real quick, though. I remember one of the tour reps at the high roller was Chad Murphy. He was a Columbia 300 tour rep. And I remember it was really intimidating to try to go over to him and ask him for a free bowling ball when you're 18, 19, 20 years old and you haven't done anything yet in the sport. But, you had to kind of inch your way over there, but you still weren't getting anything. Anyway.
Well, I also think that was before the cat was out of the bag about how important that stuff was.
Oh, it was such an advantage. It was a huge advantage. You had to
but I don't think at that time we completely or truly understood how much of an advantage it was. Now,
until you drilled the ball that a tour rep laid you out.
Now everybody does, right? And it's kind of like, well, if you're competing at that level, you don't even really want to go and compete unless you have access to what everybody else has access to, because you're really not going to be on that much of an even playing field.
Any success I've ever had at the high roller, like I won the major sweeper at the Super Hoinky, was a ball Mo Pinnell drilled for me the day before. The year I went to the top 45 in the high roller when it was $100,000 was a ball that was laid out for me that week. Anytime I've ever had success bowling at the high rollers or the mega bucks, were balls that tour reps laid out for me while I was there that week. That's how important my brother would go out there with 2 bowling balls and he'd have 4 or 5 blanks with him, and he would go and have the tour reps lay him out while he was there. I mean, literally, it was that important. But Mike, we could talk hours. I love getting into the old school conversations because we don't have them anymore about the good old days, right? But anyway, enough about that. Your league review, let's hear it, and then we're going to go through the U.S. Open.
Here for. Let's see. This is what the people come for. League review, 575 on the short. I missed. I'm not going to lie. I missed 70 spares, 70 pins worth of makeables.
God, are you going to practice your spares? You go
I
to
do.
Howley,
Yo,
what are you
Rob,
doing?
It's crazy. I said last night I was super front because, like, when I'm not striking, my spare shooting is amazing. But when I can strike and I feel confident in my look, my spare shooting's terrible. At the Greg Tack event a few weeks ago, I cashed because I made every spare the last 2 games and stayed in it and grinded it out. And I missed a 9-pin. No. Yeah, a 9-pin,
spare shooter award,
a 2-pin, 2 10-pins, 2 10-pins, and 2 buckets. Okay,
sounds like it's a mental thing.
No, it's totally physical. It's me. The 9-pin, I got so pissed off because it was the second 9-pin I left that game.
I told you it was mental,
and I just went up and threw it. Okay,
I know you just said it wasn't mental, and it is.
And then the one 10-pin I stuck. And that's why I missed it. I almost fell down, so I wasn't surprised that one. And yeah, I mean, I know the bucket isn't like the easiest spare, but I expect to make the bucket. So, my spare shooting was atrocious, but I shot 575, 180, 190, 205. Decent night. Decent night. I used urethane to start, and I probably should have got out of it earlier or switch balls and maybe even to start because in the middle of the game, the whole game, I couldn't stay slow enough. And then in the middle of the game, I slowed down just enough where I went like trip 2-pin, trip 7, like light scramble 4-pin for 3 in a row. And then on the next 2 shots, I went 2-pin, miss it, 2-10 in the 10th. In the first game.
The one thing good about using urethane is urethane really tells you pretty quickly when it's gone. You know in a pretty quick way that the reaction is kind of lost. If you see yourself missing right and you're 2-8-10ing and you're missing left and you're going through the nose, you kind of know it's time to switch.
See, for Mike, me, it's usually me. I don't know the name of the pattern, but it was short. I just always am trying to convince myself with urethane that I can slow down enough. Just slow down a little more on the next one. Slow down a little more, and the ball tip up. And occasionally I can get that slow, but yeah, then the next one I throw fast, and that's it. Bill in the chat is saying, Mike, were you using your ball for those spares or your opponents? No, sadly, Bill, I was using mine. But the fans
never forget, Mike. The fans never forget.
It might be time for a new spare ball. It really might.
It sounds that way. Sounds like it might be. Sounds. It might want to drill 2 spare balls.
Yeah. So overall, I wasn't terrible, but I wasn't great. I'm bowling Greg Tack's event on Saturday down in South Jersey.
What is he putting out?
He's putting out something medium. I think it said 38 to 41 feet with a 2-to-1 ratio. And I forget how many mils, but yeah, they're going to be somewhat tough. I'm familiar with the center we're bowling in, though. It's kind of in the area that I grew up, so I'm going to take the ride down. It's a 7-game marathon, so I'm going to bowl that, check that out. I'm going for back-to-back cashes in his events. That would be amazing if I could bowl good enough to cash again. Mr. X. Can I talk about Mr. X for a second? Again, sure. who quit my team but then rejoined the league with another team. Mr. X's team is in trouble. They're in trouble. Yeah, they're hurting. They're hurting. The rumor is they might be in a battle for last place next week in position week.
Maybe we should change his name to Mr. Open.
It was a rough week. Been a rough 2 weeks for them. So we went 7-2 last night. We had a sub who bowled great. Shout to Big J. Sub bowled great. We went 7-2. I gagged the first game away by opening the 9th and 10th, and we only lost by single-digit pins. And Mr. X. Exactly.
People love Mr.
X,
People love it.
So Yeah, listen, league is good. League is fun, especially on the sport. I encourage all you guys to check it out and try it. It is awesome. It is very challenging. Do you see how Rob was the bowling this weekend and he got bit by the bug of sport, and now he's out here preaching about practicing on sport? You see how you get bit by that bug.
Well, like Mike, I know how to get better and how to get better quick, and that's the way you get better, and you get better quick.
So peek out. Let's talk. Did Mr. X quit the other team? All right, not yet. However, they didn't get swept last night. They went 2-7. I felt as if they got swept, quitting was going to be back on the table. So I'm thinking like 1, maybe 2 more weeks if things don't go well. This is something that will likely come up.
Okay, well, keep us posted on Mr. X. I'm sure everybody is wondering that.
I will. All right, Rob. We have actual real bowling to get to, other than our nonsense.
Not our
U.S. Open week. It was what some people call the best week in bowling, not what I call the best week in bowling, but what some people call the best week in bowling. It was a great week. Shout to Bowl TV. Shout to Bowl TV. Nice job covering the event. Plenty of pairs in play. Camera quality was pretty good.
It's always good.
I didn't listen to much of the commentating, I'll be honest. I heard a lot of talk about the Bowl TV chat. It seemed lit in the Bowl TV chat. So I don't know. Like, I encourage, again, the bowling community, the higher level bowling community, to come together and to try and get a home for bowling on the internet together. USBC, PBA, PWBA, college bowling, junior gold, whatever. Get a home for bowling on the internet. All right? Come on. Get it done. Okay? U.S. Open week, Rob. We're going to give our rundown. You ready to go through our rundown?
I'm ready to roll.
Guys, are you playing along with us at home?
We got our categories to go through.
All right. Let's can we do run the ladder last? You want to do run the ladder last? You want to do it first?
I think I want to do first because I like our other categories.
All right, let's do it first. We're going to run the ladder here. Run the ladder is where we review the step ladder match for match. Rob, first match.
Jason Belmonte defeats Jake Peters 246 to 198. Thoughts from the match?
Jake Belmo, serial killer, pitch black,
deadly,
slow,
soft,
nightmare. Shout to Jake Peters. Great. Been bowling really well.
Bowling really well.
Can't imagine being in the guy's shoes, quite honestly.
So it was a pretty one-sided match.
Yes, it was a one-sided match. Jake did not put on his best performance. He didn't seem real comfortable from the get-go. And listen, that's what Belmo does. He makes you uncomfortable. All right, second match, Rob.
Belmo goes ahead to advance and then bowls the number 3 seed AJ Johnson, wins in a really close match, 221 to 212. Belmo got up in a 10 frame and threw the first strike to win that match. Shouts to AJ, put on a really good match. Felt like he could have won. But, the Belmo curse, Mike, it feels like every time Belmo got up and gave a chance, to let AJ back in the match, AJ would then give it back to Belmonte. It was pretty standard for a Jason Belmonte match.
AJ never got comfortable. First few shots were like out the window, sort of.
It's tough.
And it was over under the whole game, and it wasn't real consistent. And
the Belmo boom.
Yeah, even though, Nico asking, did we see who won tonight? Stick around, and we will we'll discuss that a little bit. AJ never got comfortable. AJ never had that great of a look.
And he made it a match, though. In the middle of the match, he started to throw some strikes
together. He threw a few good shots, and I think Belmo, he took his foot off the pedal a little bit there in that match because I think he sensed that AJ Johnson really didn't have it. So, yeah, Belmo, again, urethane. All right, then we go to the penultimate match here, Rob.
Yeah, this was the match of the night. Belmo bowled Anthony Simonson in a low-scoring affair, Mike, an absolute grind. Belmo decides to switch out of the urethane and go to a Global 900 Wolverine. Anthony Simon also started with a Global 900 Wolverine. To me, the story, this was the match of the night. This was the story of the night. I've said this multiple times when we were doing live commentary. I'm not sure why Belmo switched out of the urethane. Seemed like the tour reps for Storm and Roto, whoever, were seeing the pattern differently than what I was seeing it. And obviously they're the pros and I'm not. To me, Belmo ended up losing the match 168 to 180. Belmo got up in the 10th frame, could have struck out to beat Anthony Simonson by a pin and threw it out the window, missed the head pin, which was a shock or surprise. To me, surprise of the night that he didn't at least hit the pocket. I do feel like, though, Belmo should have at least started with the urethane, gave it a 2 or 3 shots to see like what his look was, and then maybe switch into a performance and move left. Because, Mike, he just came off a 240 and a 220. So, I mean, yeah, the urethane could go away really easy, but I feel like he could have probably pulled this match out if he would have stayed with a urethane. Hindsight's 2020, though, Mike.
Robert, I'll come back to your comment in a second. Rob, I think we both know, and we discussed this on the live broadcast, that there's some strategy always involved in what's going on out there, right? We know this.
Sure.
There's a lot of strategy going on behind the scenes that the fans aren't necessarily privy to, okay? I think part of that strategy, I don't think it's going too far to say that, and I'm going to say 2 things here. I don't think it's going too far to say that part of that strategy on one side is to kind of have an idea of what it's going to take to beat your opponent score-wise. You agree, Rob?
Yeah, I do feel like you can't really bowl based on what you think your opponent's going to do. You have to bowl on based on what's in front of you and what your reaction you feel like is going to be. You have to assume Simo's going to shoot a big game, right? Like, or
right. So
game,
again, like I think that goes into it. The other factor that goes into it is, well, what's the transition of the lanes going to be like going forward? These guys are always thinking a couple steps ahead, right? So I think that those 2 things may have played into Belmo's decision here. And he's Belmo. I'm not going to sit here and critique his decision or question it. I'm going to assume if he made that decision, that he felt that it was the best decision at that time. Hindsight, he may feel differently about that.
Yeah, but that's what we do, though, Mike. Like we should question his decision, regardless if he is the best in the world or the GOAT. Because in my opinion, and I will stick to this, he made the wrong decision. He admitted it, I believe, on social media after he said that he got a little bit too intelligent for his own. He overthought it probably.
And I agree with you, and you're talking in hindsight after the fact. And I agree with you that after the fact we can sit here and critique his decision. I'm talking more about his decision in that moment, in that time period, right? Like when that decision was made. If he felt that was the right decision, I'm not going to tell him it was the wrong decision at that time.
No.
I'm sure he had a lot of input and reasons that went into making that decision. Clearly, it didn't turn out to be the right decision. But at that time, I'm sure he felt a strong level of conviction about what he was doing out there. Back to Robert Hamilton's comment. Simo makes the ball change in the 9th to the reality, and it just looks much smoother. And it was the difference in the match. I got into a little bit of a disagreement on Twitter with Jeff Rickles today. Shocking that me and Jeff Rickles would get into a disagreement on Twitter. But
surprising.
I said on Twitter after the show that I hadn't seen a ball change like that since Tony Lacaze won a title on a ball change going into.
Well, Pete Weber switched that frantic. Remember when he won that U.S. Open, but it wasn't as late.
Right, that was more middle of the game ball change, right? I'm saying late in the game. Late in the game, you're going to commit to something new, right? And Rickles came back at me and said, "Oh, well, Belmo just did that last week at the Players. You weren't paying attention." So I went back and I watched the show. And that to me, that's not really what happened. Belmo threw that Spectre earlier in the show for a significant amount of time. Then he switched to the Trend 2. Then he went back to the Spectre in the 10th frame because he didn't trust the Trend 2. So to throw a ball that you already threw in competition for score on the same pair during the show is not a risk. That's not as big a risk. That, in fact, I don't even think it's a risk. I think that's the safe play. By switching to the Spectre, he's taking the risk out of throwing a Trend 2 that he's not 100% confident in, okay? So I was frustrated by that conversation on Twitter, and I stand by what I said. Simo's ball change, I don't care if he threw it in practice or not. It's practice. He didn't use that ball for any shots in the competition.
No.
So to switch to that ball at that time and to have things turn out the way it turned out, that's a super ballsy move. That's a super ballsy move. and it worked out for him.
It was.
You know?
It was
and
balls of steel, bro.
I haven't seen something like that with that same timing since Tony Lacaz got up and switched balls and threw 3 in the 10th for a title a while back. Shout to Tony Lacaz.
Dude, Simo, man, 9th frame of the U.S. Open to get to the match. You're literally like in a close match, and he pulls out the reality in the 9th, flat 10s, and then strikes out to force Belmo, who didn't make the ball switch and ended up losing. So, hey. But Simo has had a history of having balls of steel. That kid has literally the most moxie on tour. He will do anything to win. He will play him differently. He is not going to.
He ain't scared. He ain't scared at all.
He ain't scared to make decisions and be creative, right?
Unconventional. Unconventional. Creative. 100%. Yeah, for sure. All right, so Rob.
Final. In a one-sided,
disappointing
anticlimactic. Yeah,
anticlimactic final.
Anthony Simonson defeats EJ Hackett 232 to 165. This was a blowout from the get-go, Mike. There was no doubt about it. This match wasn't close. EJ just still doesn't look comfortable on TV. He's making the same mistakes that he's been making. He's going through the nose. He's leaving big splits. He just, completely, you fell for him for a little bit, Mike. He led the tournament by God knows whatever it was, 400 pins plus, and then gets up and bowls 160 in the final to a one-sided blowout. You had to feel for him a little bit, Mike. Had to.
I don't know. I don't, to be honest with you, because after watching AJ Johnson and after watching what happened in the Simo Belmo match, where they went to the Wolverine that's like super, super responsive, and then he switches to the reality that's nowhere near as responsive, and it looks so much better. To come out and throw that Venom shock on that pair after that, to me, is inexcusable. It's inexcusable. I don't
AJ
care
Johnson make the same mistake?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's the same ball company. So, like,
but
how does somebody not go to him and say, yo, you can't throw that ball on this pair. You got to throw something else. We got to figure something out here. We got to get something that's not going to be as over-under as responsive, in the back of the lane, something that's going to tame it down, that's going to look more like that reality that Simo is throwing. And listen, I don't care what you used all week. The bowling in the stepladder on the show, it might as well be a tournament in and of itself, because you got 5 guys, you got extended practice, you got different people coming and going from the pair, practicing at different times. You got a lot of balls going down the lane, a lot of different balls going down the lane. You got the TV lights on. You got the colored oil. You want any more differences? Is that enough differences for you? It might as well be a different tournament. So if you used the one ball all week, honestly, that means nothing when you get on the TV pair.
Here's the thing:
Jeff is saying that the Venom shock is not a very fair. All right,
look, it doesn't.
I'm not going to argue semantics here. What I mean is that it's
the ball
a
didn't
very
work for AJ
aggressive ball off the spot.
It is
very aggressive off the spot.
It is.
I've had one. I drilled one. That ball is very angular.
It's an amazing ball, Mike. I
love
the ball.
It's one of the best bowling balls ever made. Let's be clear. It's one of the best bowling balls ever made.
It is.
No question about that.
Look, you're 100% right, because AJ did, look like he had a great look. I was commenting when we were doing the live commentary about how I didn't like that choice of ball. But look, after you saw what happened with Belmo, who switched out of a pitch black to a really fast responsive ball, and then how Anthony Simonson was using a fastball like a Wolverine and then kind of switched back to a reality, which I think is a little bit earlier, maybe a stronger ball in general.
Sure. Yeah,
but
stronger.
It smooths it out. It smooths it out a little bit, right? And then AJ should have kind of, look, like we said, hindsight's 2020. But look, like that's what we're here. We're here to be critical of the decisions that these pros are making, right? And I am very critical of the decision that Hackett decided to go with a Venom shock. He switched to a different ball in the 9th, 10th frame, whatever that was. I forgot. Someone told me. It looked better. It looked smoother. It looked like he was able to make a little bit more mistakes. He stayed in that ball way too long, but Simo came out firing because Simo just came off of throwing a triple, switching balls, had new life. Mike, he had new life. Hackett made a completely wrong decision using that ball. And you know what? He started with it, and then he couldn't catch up after that. And that was the end of the match.
Chris Lutz in the chat says a pro and his rep should be able to identify a bad ball matchup after a shot or two. Figuring it out after an entire game is amateur. What that makes me think, Chris, is like that's why Storm is as good as they are, because they don't, they get it right. Like they get it right.
It also helps
90%
when
of
you
the
have
time.
Belmo and Simonson
It
too,
does.
like
It
throwing
does.
stuff.
But like they also have guys behind them that are really setting them up the right way to do the right things and be successful.
I would have loved to see if Belmo would have not switched to such a high responsive ball like a Wolverine. If he would have kind of like met in the middle between, I think his issue was the fact where he went from a urethane, which was on the low end of like a urethane that's really, really tame, to a super high responsive ball like a Wolverine. I would have loved to see him pull out something in the middle, maybe even like a Trend 2, or even something maybe that was a little bit earlier and stronger, maybe asymmetrical like a Nova. But hey, look, man, that's what we're here for, to be critical. These guys, are the pros. So
That's why I
like
love doing this podcast. This is what bowling needs. Like it needs this talk, this analyzation, this kind of deep thought about player decisions, etc. Kevin Rothov in the chat saying this would have been a good spot for best 2 out of 3 5-frame games for the title. I don't know about the 5-frame games. Best 2 out of 3. All right, I hear you on that. But again, like the step ladder is basically like a different tournament at this point with all the factors. So like if I tell you you're going to bowl a tournament, you only got to bowl 1 game to win, and somebody else has to bowl 4. You're going to want to bowl 1. So
Yeah.
I don't know there. All right, Rob, we got the rundown for the people. We ran the ladder, Rob.
We did.
We ran the ladder. That's it. Me and you, we run the ladder every week. That's what we do here at Sweep the Rack. We run the ladder. All right, Rob, where are we going next? Are people at home playing with us? Are you guys playing with us?
Yeah,
here?
well, we got to give a category here.
All right.
So we're doing ride. Let's do ride with him and not. Well, ride with him, not.
Who's riding with me? Who's not riding with me? Who's riding with me? Who's not riding with me? Who do you want to ride to the next event with? Who do you not want to ride to the next event with? All right, let's do. And people in the chat, feel free to get involved here. Rob, who do you not want to ride with to the next event?
Honestly, like maybe it's an obvious choice, but I'm going to stay away from Belmo. I don't want to ride. I don't want to ride back with Belmo because I feel like Belmo was going to be questioning that ball decision, regardless if he says in public that he would make that same decision twice. I guarantee you, if you sign a car with him by yourself and you really talk to him about that ball decision, I guarantee you that you're not going to want to ride with him because he's not going to be happy that he made that decision.
Oh, mate, I made the wrong decision, mate. I should have.
That's a terrible Australian, bro.
Pitch black, mate. Oh,
that's terrible.
The whole ride.
EJ was the
That's
obvious
probably what
choice.
Bill had to hear the whole ride. Bill was probably like inching up the volume on the Jay-Z, like all the way, little by little, like until we just drowned.
When EJ was the obvious choice, and I don't know who you selected, but I kind of went a little bit out of the box. Yeah.
All right, so EJ's the obvious choice, but here's my choice. Does Motive have like a caravan? Does Motive have like a bus that they, all the Motive guys get on and drive to the next tournament? Because I'll be honest with you, that's who I don't want to ride with to this next event.
You want to ride with the
not just EJ. I don't want to ride with the Motive caravan. Okay? I don't want to ride on the Motive bus. Well, because you had 2 shots. You had 2 horses in the race, and it didn't go well at all for either horse. Both horses had to be euthanized out on the track. All right, and
they had a great tournament as a company, though. They did.
They really both used the same ball. Okay,
which is like 6 years old.
The same ball, right? And just all things considered, just not a great day. I don't really want to ride on the Motive bus home to the next event. I'm sorry.
I do feel like the Motive value stock went up.
Like if I was on Team Motive, I'd sneak over to this Team Storm bus and be like, "Yo, can you guys fit me in the luggage rack or something? Can you just stick me underneath and I'll ride in there to the next event? I really don't want to get on this bus. I mean, it's gonna be a terrible ride, So I don't know. Okay. Plus, if you're on the Motive bus, I'd imagine that you have Purple Venom shocks just stacked everywhere around you, right? They're just everywhere. Like they're in the overhead bins. They're underneath the seats.
Dude,
You open the bathroom door and it's stacked with Venom shocks in the bathroom.
I was gonna say instead of toilet paper, is a Venom shock.
No, you can't even get into the bathroom. They're stacked floor to ceiling in the bathroom too.
Seriously,
like we can never have too many of these. Okay, you open up the bottom of the bus to put your luggage in, and it's just straight Venom shocks, all down, all in the back. Oh,
dude, it's like, dude, I need a ball for the fresh. Oh, Joe Venom shock. I need a ball for the burn. Joe Venom shock. Oh, I need a ball for the transition.
Venom shock.
Dude, just stand down that Venom shock. Like,
That's
you're good, man. That's pretty much what it is these days.
Oh, jeez. All right.
Great.
Next category. Oh, no, we got to do ride with.
So I would really want to ride with Jillian Martin after this tournament, Mike.
Interesting choice.
She made it through the PTQ, and then she finished.
You'd be riding with her and her dad.
Her dad.
Right.
She finished a spot ahead of Pete Weber. Okay, and she's 17? And she made it through PTQ. She beat almost half the field in the US Open as a female 17-year-old, Mike. This girl is no joke. She is legit. Okay. There is no doubt about it. If she stays on course, she is going to win a lot of women and men tournaments, Mike. So I want to ride with Jillian Martin to see what her reaction is when we talk to her about finishing above one of the greatest players of all time. Obviously, a former Pete's getting old, right? He's not the same bowler as he was in his prime, but that's still amazing feat for a 17-year-old, Mike, especially a woman-female bowler.
I mean, I felt like Simo was the obvious choice here.
But this is not what we want to do here.
I know,
I don't want to be obvious.
The winner, right? We're not picking the winner. So I would choose to ride to the next event with Matt Kuba.
Kuba,
okay. Listen.
Kuba.
I don't even really know Kuba, to be honest with you.
I love the last name, though. I would call him Kuba.
If he was packing up and I was around the bowling alley and he was like, hey, you want to ride with me in the next event? I probably would have been like, all right. I mean, he had a great week. Top 24 U.S. Open, kind of breakout performance, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jillian Martin's a real deal.
Definitely
Kuba, huh?
Matt Kuba would be a choice.
I love that name. If my last name was Kuba, I wouldn't even tell people I had a first name. I'd be like Kuba. Like Kramer was in Seinfeld.
Coobs.
I'm Kuba.
That's a great nickname.
Don't worry about anything else. Just call me Kuba. All right, Mike.
Kuba the Grand Pooba.
Kuba. All right,
I love it.
Let's go. Who's going to win the gold medal for the dumpster diving, Mike?
Oh, Rob.
We have the same
guest. It's going to be the same person, I think.
Dude.
It should be.
Sorry.
There's only one choice.
Yeah, it's Jacob Buttriff, right? It's
Jacob Buttriff. It's Jacob Buttriff. Yo.
Poor guy, man. He's not having a good start to the year, man. But you know what the thing about Jacob Buttriff is? He'll win a tournament this year. There's no doubt in my mind. Like, regardless of how bad he's bowling, he's the type of player, and it reminds me of Jason Couch when Jason Couch was in his prime. Jason Couch would go and finish like 100th place in like 3 straight tournaments, and then he would get one tournament where Buttriff would just go like plus like 700 and lead the tournament. So, look, he's struggling a little bit right now. But I feel like you'll see he's going to win one this year. Because when he gets it, he gets it.
Listen, everybody goes dumpster diving once in a while.
Dude, I've lived in the
we don't all win
years.
the gold medal when we go, but most people go there once in a while. So no shame in that,
Yeah. All right. I see you, Haas. So who do you see, Haas? Who I got? Man, I'm going with Jake Peters, dude. I see you, Haas. I see you, Jake Peters. Yo, great start to the year, bro. Tough year. Having just amazing start to his career. Dedicated himself. Yo, in a land full of two-handers.
You misspoke. Not start to the career, start to the year. He has a title.
Start to the year. Sorry. Start to the year, dude. But in a land of two-handers and high rev rates. What up, Leon? Yo, my guy. What up, man? Big ups. Big ups to the Junior. What up, Junior? He's had a great start this year. He's gone through some shit, some really bad shit, right? Tough everything he's going through. Yo, my man's focused. He's dedicated. And he's in a land full of high rev rate players. And as a guy who appreciates a traditional one-handed style, man, my guy Jake Peters is coming through. I see you, Jake Peters.
That's why I like that. I see you, Hoss, because that's the most impressive thing is that you hear so much talk about how your one-handed thumb players can't get it done, et cetera, et cetera. And listen, like Jake Peters is out there making shots and making it happen. So okay, good one. Kevin McCune. I see you, Hoss.
Yo, the high hard one.
Hoss.
The hard one.
Yo, on that second block pattern, that 37-foot flat pattern.
Yeah, he bombed.
My man was throwing bombs. Bombs. I mean, like fastballs, bro. Crazy.
Yo, isn't it
like
funny?
I was like, my goodness, like he ain't leaving nothing behind on that.
But isn't it funny how like he's the style to his dad is so similar, man. Like it's just so scary in a way.
He's like, I mean, he throws it. I think he throws it better than his dad. His
balance
is much better.
He does. It is better, but it's so similar.
Better. His swing is much better.
But it's so similar.
But in terms of not leaving anything back, get you on that. Follow you there.
It's so crazy how similar his style is when you watch him compared to his father. It really is similar.
But Kevin McCune, I see you, Hoss.
Wait till Cheetah when he's be able to bomb the gutter. He's going to bomb him.
Dang.
What did I say on the tweet? I said Kevin McCune going to be bombing short patterns for 30 more years. Like,
I said Kevin McCune, fun to watch. When I saw him throw, I was like, this guy's fun to watch. He's fun to watch. And
I love watching Eugene Bowl, man.
So I saw him fireballing, and then later he made the top 24. Later in the event, I see him slow hooking and playing in.
Ooh.
And I'm like, oh man, man has game. Man has versatility a little bit.
Could you imagine Eugene McCune slow hooking and then going up the gutter?
No, Eugene McCune can slow hook,
He could, but he wasn't good at it. You'd never see him make a show slow hooking.
No, he can though. I've seen him win a tournament slow hook.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like from in. Eugene McCune can do a lot with a bowling ball. So
what up, Anthony? Hope all's well, bro. That's my guy, man, Anthony. All right.
Milk
Spare
carton.
shooter.
No, milk
carton. We're going milk carton.
Milk carton.
I'm going out of the box here. No pun intended with the milk carton, Mike. So the milk carton, in case anybody's wondering what this is somebody who you might haven't heard from in a while, right?
And you see their name in the standings, and you're like, oh, they were on the milk carton. They're back.
Solomon Salema.
Oh, okay.
You know the last time we heard his name, right? Believe he was winning junior gold.
Probably. Yeah.
No. Yo, man. It's good to see him bowling. We expect big things from Solomon. Honestly, you set yourself up for high expectations when you win a big junior tournament like that. And word on the street is he's a great great bowler. Obviously, he has to be to win that tournament. So there's good to see his name out there.
Milk carton. Charlie Brown Jr.
Charlie Brown Jr.
Charlie Brown Jr.
Oh, I haven't heard
Charlie
that name
Brown
in a while.
was like a name on tour for a minute,
Yeah.
Charlie Brown won the Masters. Did he not? Is that what he won? He won the Masters, didn't he?
I have to look it up. I'm sure you'll get corrected sometime in this.
What did he win? Somebody in the chat tell me. I know he
Charlie
had a
Brown
win, right? He was a name for a minute. You didn't hear him for a little while. Back, I saw his name there. He bowled pretty well, bowled decent. I mean, I know he's kind of from the area where the tournament was taking place, sort of. So,
Mike,
Charlie
maybe
Brown
one day I'll make the milk carton award.
Maybe you will, Rob. Maybe you will. That would be great. It would be a great accomplishment. All right, spare shooter.
Sorry, I'm piling on EJ Hackett already on all the man. After that last game,
spare ball either, huh?
Man, after that last game, that finals, when he missed that spare to just really he just wanted to. You could just see him. He just wanted to disappear.
You know who I was thinking about winning the Masters? I'm sorry, I was thinking about John Nolan.
Oh, John Nolan. That's my guy, man. That's my guy, John Nolan.
I apologize. I was thinking about John Nolan. You're right, Shep. Charlie Brown was a runner-up in an animal pattern. You're right. He didn't win, but nonetheless was a name. He was around. He was like throwing it decent for a little while there. All right, Rob. Sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, true. John Nolan used to bowl. He bowled me Saginaw Valley.
Okay.
That's my guy, man. Won that Masters.
My spare shooter is Belmo for missing the 3-6-10.
Oh yeah,
He missed the 3-6-10.
Oh, that was a complete sweep the rack cloud, Mike. Because I put
I
up
know,
on
I know. And Fagan
Twitter.
mentioned how he didn't like the spare and all. It's like, but
Dude, Fagan's Australian accent is fucking spot on, by the way.
yeah, much better than mine, that's for sure. So
bad season for spares, Robert. I completely agree. This has been an awful showing from the.
Kind of shocking to see him miss a spare like that. So I give him the spare shoot.
Mike, if Fox Bet was to make odds on a spare being missed on the tour right now, the odds would be like minus 600, minus 1,000, like on the show. That's how bad the spare shooting is. Prior 2 years, I would say it's probably a 50-50 shot or even a little bit towards like a more of a underdog odds. Now it's a huge favorite. It's easily minus 500 to minus 1,000 of a pro missing a spare. This spares don't seem like to be as important as they used to be.
See, this is why they need betting in live time, because then you could you wouldn't have to bet on every spare, but it would be like, all right, I think he's going to miss this one. I can sense it, and you can push all in on that one. The betting needs to get there. Betting needs to get improved. All right, that's it. That's our wrap for the tournament.
That's our wrap.
We hope you guys enjoyed our U.S. Open wrap up. Okay, Rob, do we want to talk about today's event, or do we want to go worst of the week first?
Let's just talk a little bit about today's event because I know people are fresh off it. Quick, we'll talk more about it probably next week.
We're gonna do our wrap up for both this event that ended today and the next event that's coming up next Wednesday, right? So the same wrap-up process we just used for the first two tournaments, we're going to use for both of these tournaments next week. But we figured, since the stepladder ended right before we came on the air, we might as well talk about it a little bit. Go ahead, Rob. What do you think?
I think that I really gave Jesper the horseshoe by putting him on the milk carton, or what did I put him on? He won an award last week because he didn't bowl. Or did I? No, I don't think I put him on. No. I was going to, but he missed the event, right? He missed the God, what event did he bowl the US Open, Mike? I don't think he bowled the US Open, right? Jesper Svensson?
No, I don't think so.
So this was his first event of the year.
Or was it the Players that he skipped?
It was one of them. It might have been the Players.
I think it was the Players.
It was the Players. But Jesper Svensson ended up winning. He pretty much averaged like 260. The scores were through the roof. And yeah, so shouts to Jesper, man. Congrats, bro. I'm sure he's going to be a tough to deal with this year if the shot stays like this. He's tough to beat on a high scoring pattern, Mike. He really is. He's if the scores are high, he's always in there. The guy is a striking machine when he has it, and when they're easy, he's one of the best in the world. And they were high scoring. I felt like the people, imagine going from the U.S. Open to this. The pocket must have felt like it was literally like 3 feet big. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, we'll talk more about what happened or the details with both tournaments next week. But if anybody was wondering, Jesper did end up winning.
Yeah, if he's tough, Like if he's the number one seed and you're going to bowl him, like you better be bringing your A game.
Yeah, I don't know what he was using, Mike. You were watching more of the flow than I was.
It was hard to tell. It was
probably
hard to tell.
urethane.
It was either the pitch black or it was that blue urethane ball.
Oh, the pitch blue or something.
Yeah. I don't know which
the fast
one.
pitch. The fast pitch.
Yeah, fast pitch. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
it was one or the other. I tweeted out during this week's event while Jesper was averaging 270 for a block. I wonder if when Jesper's averaging 270 using the Storm urethane lineup of balls, if he looks around and says, "Oh man, I really wish I could throw that purple hammer."
He'd average like 290 if he was
Yeah.
using.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's so much. Just wanted to bring it up and mention.
It's right. Sayreville Bombers weren't missing. You weren't getting in my starting lineup if
We're
you
bringing
couldn't
up
make
high school
spares.
bowling.
You
All right.
weren't getting in my starting lineup if you couldn't make spares. Please make those
All right,
spares,
Mike.
kids.
You ready? You ready for
Let's
what
go.
the people want?
Let's do it. All right, Rob, you can go because I have so many this week. I don't even.
So we had two different people reach out with the same post, which was for the gift that keeps on giving, the USBC Bowlers Discussions Forum. Tim Buck.
I forgot about this. I forgot about this from this week. Oh my God.
Tim
This
Buck.
This dude is just overboard, yo. Seriously.
Tim Buck, you could keep us away from the message boards. You could ban all of us. You could ban everybody. But we still have people watching. We still have people sending us shit. My post is from Andrew Williams, who posted on the USBC Bowls Discussion Forum. To bowl in a PBA regional, it says you have to have a 200 average for 21 games. Does this mean you have to have and maintain an average of 200 over 21 games, or have to have bowled 21 games and get your average to 200? Andrew, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and saying if this is what you're worried about to bowl regional, you probably shouldn't bowl. I'm just throwing that out there, man. Like, you're probably not ready to bowl these regionals. You're probably gonna go there and it's good experience. I get it. But
you're probably not gonna have a good experience though.
No, you need to probably bowl a little bit more sport leagues, amateur events, work yourself up instead of just jumping into the regional circuit, which if you're averaging around 200 right now, you're probably going to struggle. I'm just going to call a spade a spade. Unless it's a 200 on a sport league, which I doubt from that.
But congratulations, you won Worst of the Week.
Hey, man. Dude, not everybody wins Worst of the Week, so.
Speaking of Worst of the Week, Rob, folks, this is not a marketing ploy. Worst of the Week rosin bags are nearly sold out. They are nearly sold out. You heard some people in the chat commenting earlier that the delivery is quick and their quality product. Somebody popped in and said they want a sweeper this weekend after getting their
honor
bag.
scores.
This is what happens. Okay, guaranteed wins and honor scores. Guaranteed. Money in your pocket from purchasing this rosin bag. Okay, it's better than buying a bowling ball. All right, and much cheaper too, but not a marketing ploy. Worst of the Week rosin bags are running out, so if you want to get yours, hit us up. Go to
once
the website.
They're out, they're going to be out, Mike. I think
they're out. They're never coming back.
Limited edition.
Worst of the Week rosin bags are never coming back. If you got one already, don't lose that, John. Hold on to it. It's only going up in value. Okay.
You see me at a bowling tournament, I'll autograph it for you.
You might think that a rosin bag depreciates in value, but not the Sweep the Rack Worst of the Week rosin bag.
It actually increases.
It actually increases in value as time goes on.
Yep. Okay? And your rev rate goes up too. Literally, like your rev rate.
That's actually a good idea, Rob. We should talk to Jeff Lindemuth about that. There should be a fuse stuck into the bag. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it will raise your average. You'll get more honor scores. You'll win more tournaments. Sweep the Rack rosin bag.
Robert Hamilton will attest to the fact that this is a quality product.
Testimonials, people. Testimonials.
All right. Okay. Oh, Chris Lutz, Mr. X will never get his own rosin bag. No.
He should.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Okay. Robert is asking, what will help you more, drilling a ball for the tourney or getting a rosin bag? Robert,
there's no doubt.
No brainer. It's the rosin bag, bro.
Get two rosin bags. Yeah. You get a urethane rosin bag and a high performance.
5 rosin bags and still be well under the quarter of a cost for a good bowling ball.
Dude.
Okay.
You could switch off every 2 frames to a new rosin bag. Keep your hand really dry.
Instead of switching balls, switch rosin bags. Okay. Try this. All right.
I love that. We're gonna use that.
Okay. Worst of the Week. Sorry, got to go to my phone.
Yeah, you gotta pull.
Here we go.
Okay.
Since anyone who's a fan of Sweep the Rack or is associated to us in any way is banned from the USBC discussion boards at this point. I take my worst of the week from the Hammer Bowling message boards. This is a post by Craig Johnson. Craig, congratulations. You won worst of the week this week. I hope word gets back to you. If you're watching
Congrats,
this,
brother.
congrats, bro. Email
Congrats.
us, sweettherack@gmail. Here's the post. What can I do to get my purple urethane to hook more?
I was just fucking gagged.
I bowl on a typical house shot for league.
Oh.
I am left-handed.
Oh.
Hold on. This gets better. Starting position is 2 boards to the right of the center dot going over the second arrow. My ball is a 13-pound ball. I usually start out with some good action, but that is usually gone after about 10 throws.
Oh. This is where we're at. This is where we're
Rob,
at bowling, bro.
You took the words right out of my mouth, bro. That's why I made it the worst of the week, because this is worst of the week because it shows us where we're at. It shows us where we're at in bowling, right? That somebody like, what's this dude's name? Craig Johnson will go out, purchase a purple hammer, then stand at 22 looking at 10 on a house shot, which basically means you are standing in the soup and throwing it in the soup. And he will then observe that the ball only hooks for about 10 frames, not knowing that, well, urethane's going to lessen the hook on the lane no matter what you're bowling on, let alone on a house shot when you're standing in the soup, dragging it all the way down the lane.
Mike, here's the bigger situation. The bigger situation is one, he's trying to fix his issue, right? Because on how to change with a bowling ball. Mm-hmm. The other issue is the fact where the pro shop people who drilled that ball failed him. They failed him. Because, Mike, if I was working in the pro shop and this guy walked in and said, hey, I'm bowling on the house shot Tuesday night. I'm bowling at 6:30. Like, I want to drill a purple hammer for league. My first thing is a training or education to the person say, you probably want to drill a performance ball for a house slot. Like, you want to drill performance, a mid performance, maybe a Storm Nova, maybe whatever it is, a Widow Ghost. I don't know, whatever. Some of these new performance balls.
Even asking the question of like, well, what purpose do you have for drilling that ball?
Well, it's because everybody's because they're and I guarantee you it has nothing to do with anything about his personal game. It's going to be, you know what I mean.
Yeah. Okay. So like, doesn't that then open the conversation up to like educating the person about why they don't need that, right? But
yeah,
that's
not the way it goes. Operator needs
the customer comes in and says they want this, and that's what they get.
The pro shop operator has got to give some education there. Now, if he's sometimes the people don't want to hear any different. They want the purple hammer because it's the ball that everybody's using on. It's the ball with the controversy. It's the integrity ball. It's the all kinds of shit. But Mike, it's a pro shop operator fail, as well as the bowling of the bowlers not being educated and really what's going on with their ball reaction and how to play them. So
true. All right, Rob, hit him with it.
Yes, sir.
Final thoughts here, Rob. We went into super overtime for the people tonight.
We did.
The people who listen to this audio wise, I hope you're going to appreciate this. You got some extra listening pleasure here today.
Mike, this weekend I am going to the PGA golf version of Bayside Bowl, Portland, Maine.
Waste Management Open.
I will be at the Waste Management Open. I got tickets from work. And I told my father, who's never seen a PGA golf event in person, I got him a ticket. He's flying in. I'm going Saturday, and to see what the hype is about, to experience the Portland, Maine Bayside Bowl of the PGA, the Wayside Management Open. I will try to get some Instagram photos and Instagram videos to show the people what it is. But that's my final thoughts. It should be a good time. It's cool just to be able to see my dad and see him experience the PGA event for the first time. So
cool. Have fun. Have a good time. Yes. Super Bowl Sunday.
Oh yeah, Super Bowl.
Super
How's the
Bowl
spread,
Sunday.
Mike? How's the spread gonna look?
Oh, spread's gonna look outrageous.
Man,
So
I
of
wish I lived
course.
close to you, man. I would never, would never be. I would be always over your house eating.
I mean, it's Super Bowl. It's like my big last hurrah of the football season. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So, yeah, nah, Super Bowl Sunday, a lot of bets, a lot of action, a lot of props, a lot of
whole
block
16.
pools. Um, so yeah, I'm hyped. I'm hyped for the weekend. I got Greg Tax tournament Saturday. I got the Super Bowl on Sunday. Looking good. Weekend's looking good. Who you like in the Super Bowl, Rob? Who you got?
Man. I'm with Joe Burrow, man. I am with Joe Burrow right now, man. I think the Rams have a better team, and I think the Rams are built to win right now with Von Miller and Jalen Ramsey, and all the money they spent for this year. Odell Beckham, the Rams are built to win this year. But man, I think the Bengals are just an interesting team, man. Like, with the points, I'll probably pick them with the points. So
I like the Rams here.
I know.
I like the Rams here. I mean,
I know.
I just think they're the better team. I think from the moment
They are the better team.
From the moment Matthew Stafford got traded, everyone kind of felt like, yeah, this is a possible Super Bowl team. And now they are the only possible team that people were talking about before the season started that's still standing. And I think they're going to have more talent on the field.
They do.
If
Both sides.
the Bengals take away Cooper Kupp, and Odell Beckham is able to have a good game, and he has
Good
been
luck with
playing
that.
really well. I could even picture Odell Beckham possibly being the MVP. I like that. I like that as a non-quarterback MVP pick anyway.
Here's my block of the
another
week.
prop that I'll give the people is something that I heard this week that I really like is the shortest field goal will be 27 yards or more. Okay, I like that.
Here's my lock. Bet under on everything Jamar Chase this week.
Okay.
Dude, he's going to have Jalen Ramsey all over his ass, bro. He's not going to.
But much like Cooper Kupp, he seems to be one of those guys that regardless of how teams defend him, he finds a way to get the ball. He finds a way to be effective.
I think they're going to lock him up. I'm going to put the under on anything Jamar Chase, and I feel like Burrow too is going to have a tough day. The pass rush is just always dude. If the Bengals couldn't control who they think he got sacked like 10 or 11 times against who they played in the first round, the Bengals. Titans. What is Von Miller and Aaron Donald going to do to him? Dude,
yeah, but again, they seem to be
going to be a long day.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm hoping for a good game. Hoping for a good game.
Yeah.
All right, sure. Rob. We appreciate all the people joining us.
Yeah, overtime.
Overtime. Sweep the rack. It's how we do around here. U.S. Open week. You know we want to get into it. Rob, have a great week. Enjoy the golf tournament with your dad. Enjoy the Super Bowl. I'll be bowling the tournament. Super Bowl as well. Hit us up on Gmail. Sweep the rack at Gmail. Hit us up on Twitter at the 215. He's at Brooklyn Rob 11. I'll be tweeting about the Greg Tack tournament this weekend. So if you want to hear how I'm doing, you can follow me on there. Everybody, have a great week. All right. If you want to get your worst of the week rosin bag and you haven't ordered it yet, definitely order it.
Sweep the rack bowling.
Rob, we're still working behind the scenes, Rob.
Trying.
We're still working behind the scenes for the people. We're not stopping. We're not stopping. We got some heat coming for y'all. So hit that subscribe button.
Please.
Hit that subscribe button, all right?
Please, because, even if you don't watch it on YouTube, if you have a Gmail account, if you have 5 Gmail accounts, hit the subscribe button 5 times. I'm really trying to get the subscriptions up. Would be great. I love you, people. I appreciate it.
All right, folks. Have a great week. We'll see y'all.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.